Hello y'all, this is my presentation on the getting started discussion board for Aviation 360 on the quick compare chart and our spreadsheet that we are going over. The four aircraft that I chose to look through and make my charts about, my original data presentations, is the Daher Kodak, which is a cool airplane. These airplanes I just picked because I think they're really cool and fairly efficient. The Kodak, who doesn't love a Kodak, especially on floats, they're great. Just a giant 172. The Piper M600, the Meridian, the turbine powered, the PT6 powered Malibu, that's what that is. The PC-12 NGX, who doesn't like a PC-12? Great airplane. You can throw a dirt bike in the back. Great. And then the King Air 260, which is the only one I put on this list just because they're more expensive, but you do have the abilities of a twin. When picking these airplanes, I first considered the size of the airplane and how many passengers it took, especially in the case of our fictitious company, being it's going to be mainly the executive flying around, not a group of people for a company. With that being said, the first data point that I chose to use was the price of the airplane, so the initial purchase price versus the cabin volume. Then we see that the King Air 260 by far stands out. It's the most the most costly airplane and one of the largest cabin volumes. This is a note for us to say if there's only one person going or if there's two executives going, then we want to keep the cost relatively low. Maybe use the Piper because the volume is very low and the cost is relatively low. If we're taking a lot of people, then we might want to take the PC-12 because the PC-12 has a lot of cabin space and it's not the most expensive. Well, it is the second most expensive, but you get the point. But this is the data point that I chose to use for the first one, and I think it's a very good chart to show that the PC-12 is a good airplane if you have a lot of people that you need to take around, and the Piper is pretty good if you only have just the one executive to take around. The next chart that I chose to use was the 600 nautical mile, the leg, the trip cost versus the time. And we can see that the King Air instantly stands out as the most costly airplane to run, as well as the fastest airplane to run. In here, we see that the PC-12 comes out as the second fastest airplane, as well as the second most expensive. So it gets ranked number 2 in both these categories, 2 being, placed second with most cost, and then placed second with the fastest airplane. We see that the Kodak now comes out to be relatively inexpensive, but it's slow because it's a high wing, it's not efficient, it's just a giant Skyhawk. And then we see that the Piper Malibu comes out to be a fairly quick airplane, and it is very cost effective because it doesn't cost a lot, it's not big, and we see that the PC-12, again, if we're carrying a lot of people, great airplane. If we're carrying just our 1-2 executives, Malibu or Meridian, great airplane. And then we see that the King Air is just erroneous, and then the Kodak is just obsolete. Reasoning that we have behind the textbook onto why we want to have the airplanes is, one, we have our authorized users. We know that 4 fictitious companies could be the CEO, the operations managers, very few people that have access to these airplanes, and it prevents misuse of the airplanes, whether that's from just random corporate employees wanting to take the trip just to say that they fly corporate for work or whatever it might be. It makes it so that everyone's efficient and the airplanes are used when they need to be used and there's no misuse. The second reasoning is justification and priority of use. It goes back to our city pair analysis, where the people that are using the airplane only need to use it whenever there's a clear advantage. If we go back and look, there's some city pairs that we had where there was an hour drive out and then maybe a 3-hour delay at the airport, a 3-hour layover, taking away 4 hours of the day. Whereas we could very quickly establish that flying corporate would save time and money, both for the company and for the executive that we're flying out, so we can understand that there's justification and priority of use for there. If the policies aren't clearly defined whenever we purchase an aircraft for a company, and what its purpose is and its mission and what it serves, then it very quickly becomes a liability rather than an asset to save time and money. But whenever it's structured correctly, it improves the efficiency because we are more efficient with our time. We're more efficient with the money that we spend on labor, whether that's downtime for the employees or whatever it might be. The decision-making speed, if we need to get quickly out to a job site, we need to send an engineer, we need to send a geologist out there, whatever it might be, we can make those decisions quicker and we don't have to wait for airline turnaround time in the way of company-wide productivity. If everyone's working faster, if we get geologists out faster, that means everybody else can do their job quicker and get everything turned around quicker, getting us to get better contracts because we're able to operate and get in and drilling faster, maybe whatever it might be. But we have productivity, decision-making speed, and efficiency, which all boil down to the same thing. We can make more as a company because we can then produce more, we can be more efficient. The biblical integration, the verse that I found reads, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to the abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty," which just essentially says that, or in our realm, essentially means whenever we're looking at our airplane, we have to make sure that we're diligent, and corporate aviation is not abundant. It's very costly. If we abuse it, it can get away from us just as quick as we can drop our pennies. And then if we are poor to use it, it's going to go away, financial losses, wasted resources. But if we're careful and plan with it, it can then lead us to then be abundant with, or have an abundance of time because we are saving that all rather than using the airlines. But yeah, that's my presentation. Thanks for watching.